German technology giant SAP, whose enterprise resource planning solution is being used by over 4 lakh businesses across the world, is bullish about India. The company has its largest R&D center outside Germany in India and works with almost all the leading enterprises in the country, be it large, medium, small, or even startups. In an exclusive interview with Business Today, Christian Klein, SAP CEO, talked about the company's plans for the country, why businesses globally are looking at India, and how India can really bridge the talent gap. So, Christian, tell me, we live in a VUCA world. How do you see this impacting the demand for global technology solutions?
Yeah, just look at India. It's for us, I would say, one of the most strategic markets. And when we are talking to the India government, just in my recent visit to India with our Chancellor to talk to the Prime Minister Modi and the government, or if I talk to your companies, what is this about? They need technology to transform their businesses. So, India, big trend, move to green energy. Yeah, so all your energy providers, we have a big interest on using our technology to move to green energy. Or take all the very successful car manufacturers you have in India. They really want to move into more mobility services. They want to change the way how people can buy and can consume all the services in and outside of the car. They need technology for that. Or if you just see about the huge mid-market you're having. These 60 million of SME companies you have, they want to grow their business and they need technology to help them to get their products and their services from India to everywhere in the world. And this is where technology can help. Or last but not least, when you look at sustainability, India especially, you have a high ambition, your government, on decarbonization. And technology, the Green Ledger from SAP, can help to create transparency around how many, greenhouse gas emissions do we have in this product and how can we act on that to reduce the carbon emissions across the supply chain. And so tech is extremely relevant, especially in a market like India, who is really striving, where I also see a very bright future. And what is good about India, you are really embracing this technology to succeed and win in the market.
Do you think customers, your business partners, and even enterprises in India are really scared about spending on technology right now?
Yeah. Look, Nidhi, look around. There are so many CEOs here, CIOs here. We have record attendance. I feel when your tech is really relevant to help to grow the business, to help to scale the business, or to run a more sustainable, to decarbonize the business, then there is IT budget available for sure. And especially in a country like India, who is so much forward-looking, really embracing technology. We don't see a lack of IT budget. It's just the opposite. We see a lot of interest to further invest to run a successful business.
At Davos earlier this year, you talked about the next phase of globalization. Do you see India a part of this phase?
And I can tell you, in the next phase of the globalization, I see India as a clear winner. Okay. And I can tell you why. Look at all the geopolitical tensions going on. The United States and China, everything what happens in Russia. I can tell you, in my visit in India, the interest was never higher from SAP, but from all the other CEOs, the car manufacturers, the chemical companies, to invest in India. Because the supply chains, they will change. And what the companies are looking for is a market where you have great talents, a great environment to invest. You have to have the infrastructure, and the government needs to have the right vision. Yeah, when it comes to sustainability, making it easier for companies to invest. And when you look at all of that, I feel India will be the winner, because a lot of companies will say, before I gonna continue to invest in some parts of the world, I pick the one where I see all of these ingredients to be successful in the future.
SAP was an enterprise resource planning company. You migrated to cloud and later on integrated IoT as well. So what are the next big areas you're focusing at?
Yeah, look, When you look at all of our customers in India, and no matter if it's the large enterprises like Tata, or like HCL, or we run all the large energy companies in the country, they need to want to move fast. And this is what they get in the cloud. So we can continuously ship new innovations. So that's the foundation. And I really like how all of our customers are embracing this journey. Look at the mid-market customers. They have high ambitions to grow their business. And for them, we have an offer called Grow with SAP, where we give them the industry best practices, where we give them the software to scale, to just accelerate, their, rise to the top in the industry and to grow their business. And then, of course, what comes next? You have seen what is possible with AI. Now we are taking AI to the next level. In the future, generative AI will help our customers in India to ask any kind of business-related question. And the software will give you intelligent answers, will give you recommendations to make more informed decisions, to help you better manage your business. Or you are getting new capabilities, what we have showed yesterday, in recruiting and in the education, because it's all about the people and you have to have the best workforce. And generative AI can make sure that, what is the skills gap and how can we close this skills gap in educating your workforce in the best possible way. And that happens with AI and not only anymore with human intervention.
Generative AI is everywhere, but we are also talking about responsible AI. So, what checks and balances have you put in place to make sure your AI is responsible?
Very good question, Nidhi. And look, especially in India, what is our commitment to India? Responsible AI. We want to put an infrastructure in place in the cloud where the customer's data is absolutely secure, the data stays in the country. We actually adhere to the highest data privacy requirements, so the customers can also tell us, hey, what happens with the data, who is touching the data. So we take this very serious. And then when it comes to AI, we actually have a board also of external advisors who are making sure that our AI is developed in a responsible way, meaning, are we, applying AI with the right values, that there is non-bias in the algorithms. So to really make sure customers see all the benefits, but that we also, of course, make sure that we apply AI in a responsible way.
You talked about generative AI, Green Ledger. So what is the next technology you think that can become big in the next couple of years?
You heard me saying yesterday a lot about the business network.
Yeah.
And I would love to give you a little bit more insight into why I feel this is a crown jewel in our portfolio and will change the way how businesses run. So many Indian companies also have faced certain supply chain restrictions, disruptions. There's a high need for certain raw materials, for example, in the car industry, or there are certain needs for chips. And with the business network, we are connecting the supply chains of car manufacturers. We are connecting the supply chains of services companies, of life science. And what you will get is you get certainly a visibility end-to-end across your supply chain to make sure there are no disruptions. But now it comes. We will also track and trace the carbon footprint. Mm-hmm. So now in the future, when you buy new products, new ingredients for your products with SAP, we can track and trace the carbon footprint, not only from your direct suppliers, but from all their suppliers to really make sure you can measure carbon footprint, including scope 3. We have that in a standardized way in the Green Ledger, so that really our customers have the full visibility on not only about how to have more transparency around greenhouse gas emissions, but also then to act on it and to reduce the carbon emissions.
India is focusing on achieving net zero targets, and all the businesses in the country are focusing on reducing their carbon emissions. Have you seen any interest from the Indian businesses for your Green Ledger solution?
A lot. These CEOs are coming to us and say, hey, I have to report my ESG in a standardized way. Okay. But today I'm working with too much estimates, with averages, and that's not enough. We need a standardized reporting based on actuals. And this is what our software can do, because you are running your materials, you are purchasing your materials with SAP software, and we can make sure that we record ESG and carbon emissions data in our system so that you have actual data. And that's exactly what the Indian companies are also asking for. And this is what we announced yesterday with the Green Ledger.
Agriculture accounts to about 20% of India's GDP. Are your solutions relevant for farmers and the agriculture sector in India as well? Did you discuss any of those during your meeting with Prime Minister Modi recently?
Yeah, absolutely. And it was interesting. First of all, I have to say kudos to your Prime Minister. He talked a lot about being digital and want to have the public sector as a front runner. And the second focus topic was around also running India more sustainable and really be a front runner in decarbonization. And with regard to farming, we said, hey, how can we make sure that all the big companies, really down also then to the farmers, have the transparency around what is the most sustainable way to produce certain goods, and then also helping with our technology, to reduce the carbon emissions, so that we can also make sure that the big companies source and help the farmers, to do it in a more sustainable way. Because these big companies, they also care around decarbonization. And so the whole value chain down to the farmers, they should not only have the transparency, but with the transparency comes also the awareness and the need for action, to help end to end also the farmers to also produce the goods in a more sustainable way. And yes, that was a big topic also with your government.
How important is India for SAP? What kind of growth are you registering in the country, and what is the strategy going forward?
I mean, look, there are a few stats which just, say how. I would say India is, for me, end to end, the most important market, because we have big growth plans to hire more young talents in India. We see a great talent base there. We see a very educated and very skilled talent base in India, and I really ask the India government to really further double down on education, because at the end, the people and their skills, will make sure that India will strive also in the future. The second thing, look at this market. You have 60 million SME, mid-sized customers. That's actually almost, all the people living in Germany. Just look at the sheer size of this market. And the great thing is, all of these companies looking, to technology to succeed, to win in the market. It's not like that we need to convince these companies. No, these companies come and say, hey, we want to have SAP helping us to grow our business. And then last but not least, partners. Our biggest ecosystem is in India. HCL, TCS, Wipro, Infosys, they're all helping us. And SAP cannot be successful without our partners in India. They're helping us to bring the software to all corners in the world. And you have the biggest ecosystem, helping us to develop, implement, and run our software. This is India. And now you also hopefully can understand why I'm spending so much time in India, because it's a very, very important market for us.
SAP caters to about 26 industries globally. Which are the key industries for SAP in India?
Look, right now, of course, when you see where is high need for technology, it's the car manufacturers who are moving to EV, to electronic vehicles. Energy, it's the green energy transition in India is super important, and technology plays a key role. Manufacturing, same. We can help to decarbonize. But then when you look into retail, commerce, when I was in India, we talked about the commerce platform you are going to build for SMEs to offer their products and services digitally. We see a huge demand for technology in retail. A lot is happening there. So these are now a few key industries just out of my mind. But I have to say, if we would continue this interview, there would be probably a great example for every industry. But these are definitely the industries where I see, the highest excitement right now.
What kind of expertise does SAP look for hiring in India?
First, I I can only emphasize how important it is to further invest into education and, having all the talents available, because that's for companies, from everywhere in the world, very important when they come to India that they find the right talent. What we see, we are big in Bangalore, we are big in Mumbai, in Delhi, but when I look around, there are a lot of tier 2 locations when I talk to your government. And now our chairman, Nidhi, who knows India really well, he said to me, Christian, there are places, locations in India we should definitely look into to further expand our work because there are great talents. And so this access to talents, I feel, maybe there is a gap, but compare this to Germany, compare this to the United States, you have an incredibly big talent pool. But of course, what are the future profiles we are looking for? AI, AI specialists, data scientists, cybersecurity, talking about data privacy. These are profiles which you don't find everywhere in the world, where I would strongly recommend investing into these profiles. But then also having smart people who can talk about digital transformation and making sure you're connecting businesses with technology. Because at the end, a digital transformation will only happen if you have people who understand an industry and can connect it to technology. Right. Because a piece of technology will not unfold any kind of value. Getting, your landscape to the cloud with a hyperscaler will not transform your company. What will transform with your company is the software, but then also applying the software of SAP to the business of our customers. So in this combination of skills, this industry knowledge in combination with technology is a great skill to have in the future, because that's very relevant for all of our customers in India as well.
SAP's strategy is to enable every organization, every industry to become a network of intelligent and sustainable enterprises. So what does it mean? How do you intend to do that?
Yeah, look, when I'm talking to the CEOs these days, they tell me 3 things. Christian, help with our software to grow and scale our business. And this is what we are doing with our ERP, with our supply chain, with our commerce software, to really have this software available so that we can run it in India, but help the Indian companies to win the world, to expand in all parts of the world. But that's number one. And then comes the network. The network is around the integrated supply chains, the end-to-end supply chains, to not have any disruptions, to have the visibility, to have a very dynamic and agile supply chain, because you can delight your consumers with great products, but the supply chain has to work so that the consumers get the product in time, personalized, and of course also with speed. And then last but not least, sustainable. Look, your government said it right. India wants to be at the forefront of sustainability and be a role model when it comes to decarbonizing the industry. And this is what our technology is around. This is why we talk about sustainability with the Green Ledger, with the Green Token, to really help Indian companies to decarbonize and be a role model in their industry for sustainability.
You talked about your meeting with Prime Minister Modi in bits and pieces during our conversation. I want to understand, how was the meeting with him? What did you discuss? What are your key takeaways from that meeting?
I was amazed how much your Prime Minister knew about SAP, about our technology and what we do for India. So I have to say this was fantastic to see. And he had very concrete plans and thoughts around how technology can help India to strive, around sustainability, about commerce, around supply chain. And so that was for me great to see. That your government, your Prime Minister is really at the top of digitization and really sees technology as a great opportunity for India to strive their economy.
So any ideas he gave you that you're working on, especially for the Indian market? Any discussions that you can share?
We talked about the railway, the digitization of the railway. We talked about the green transition, helping some of the energy companies to move to green energy. We talked about commerce and helping the SMEs, the mid-sized companies in India to strive and to digitize their sales and helping them to expand their business in the world. these were a few concrete topics. And and he took a lot of time to sit together with us. And I guess all the German CEOs, including myself, left the meeting with the impression India is the place to be, and we definitely want to double down on India.
For a long time, India was not looked upon as a destination to be. But now, things have started to change. A perfect example is what you are doing in India. What do you think has changed?
No, actually, and look at, with all the tensions going on worldwide, customers are now really, or companies are now really looking into where do I build my next factory? Where do we actually invest into our next lab? Where do we invest into, our go-to-market, into local resources? And India, there are a lot of strong arguments to invest in India right now, and that's why I'm also very optimistic when it comes to the future of India.
You talked about Green Ledger, you talked about Green Token. How much of this is being used for planning such an event like this, which has over 10,000 people coming across the world?
When you would compare this event to 4 years ago, you would see that all the material is already more sustainable. There's always things what we still need to do better. The most important thing is what we do. We actually track the carbon footprint of, to get this event up and running. Okay. All the people, we know where you are coming from. We know where the people are coming from. So we are calculating the carbon emissions for all of the travel, for the hotels, everything. And then we have a certain carbon footprint. And as we also want to use our technology to do something good for our planet, then we also made a commitment to invest into forests, into trees, and to also make sure that when you are leaving this event, that we also do something around, decarbonization and investing into, trees, to also make sure that we all feel, with thoughts around, hey, no, this was now really also a sustainable event. That people have to come together from time to time. Yes, I guess this will be also needed in the future. So no one should feel bad to enter a plane and come here. But what we as SAP should do, we should do our best to offset the carbon footprint, with also now funding certain trees, so that we also can make sure that this is really a sustainable event.
European Union is very strict about guidelines around carbon emissions. Other countries are also trying to follow. Is there a solution like Green Ledger that can be standardized?
We see this absolutely coming. And yes, the European Union is already today pretty strict on regulations and on measuring ESG. And we actually believe that today you are reporting your financial ledger with SAP. And it's a standard. Everyone adheres to a standard. We actually believe that our Green Ledger will become a standard as well. Because at some point of time, there will be taxes on greenhouse gas emissions. And you cannot, do that until you're not having a standard, a Green Ledger. And as we are administrating the material flows and we are running these business processes, there is no better system than SAP to have this Green Ledger and have actuals which can be certified and standardized.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for coming.
If you like the video, do like, comment, share and subscribe.